Hey guys, we're live with Grappling Hearts. Tonight I have Shawn Hammonds here with us. Super excited to have you on, Shawn.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here with you guys. It's going to be fun.
Got that right? We're going to try and make it fun for you at least.
Try it.
So, Shawn, I guess to start us off, do you care to tell us what got you into Jiu-Jitsu and kind of take us through your journey a little bit?
Yeah, man. So it's crazy, my journey. I was always an athletic kid growing up, moved to Nashville from Kentucky in 92. And I was bouncing at a bunch of nightclubs in Nashville. And also, I was doing concert security at a place called Starwood Amphitheater, where they have, big bands, Ozzy Osbourne, all kinds of big concerts. And I saw a clip of Hoist Gracie in this UFC thing in the early '90s, and I thought that little dude's going to get killed because some guys he was fighting was huge.
Oh, yeah.
And man, when he tied him in a knot, I was like, "What is going on? And what is this called?" Because I did a little boxing, and I was a football kid, so I grew up in the streets, and we fought in the streets all the time. I grew up right there on the river, Cincinnati, northern Kentucky. So fighting wasn't a stranger to me at all. Uh, but I never seen anybody tie somebody up like that and make them give up. And so that's when I started kind of just looking for this jujitsu thing. And of course, in the mid '90s, it was all on the West Coast, and there was some up in New York area with Renzo Gracie, and there was some in Texas. Wasn't a lot here in the Midwest or Mid East where we're at here in Kentucky and Tennessee. So I started looking around, and one of my buddies back home was a Taekwondo black belt, and I went into he actually was a hairstylist, and I went into get a haircut from him back home, and he had a picture of this old man in a red belt, and the old man happened to be Elio Gracie. And I was like, "What is that? Who's that picture?" You guys, oh man, that's Elio Gracie. You ever seen Hoist and the UFC? And he's the one that told me about that. And I said, "Is it real?" He goes, "Man, it's probably the realest stuff." I've done every martial art from Kali to Taekwondo. He was a black belt and a lot of stuff. He goes, "I ain't never seen anything so um, that works so well that you could put right into a fighting system." I said, "You know anybody that teaches that? I want to learn." So he first hooked me up with a guy in northern Kentucky named Bryce Moore and John DeFranco. Both of them guys were blue belts under Carlos Machado. I was just a powerlifting, strong, tough kid from Kentucky. And so I called him up, and it was funny, man, because the one kid, Bryce, graduated about 4 years after me. And I called him and I said, "Yeah, is this Bryce?" He goes, "Yeah, who's this?" I said, "Shawn Hammonds." He goes, "Shawn who?" I said, "Shawn Hammonds." He goes, "No, it ain't." I said, "Yeah, Shawn Hammonds." He goes, "You're talking about the MVP football player at Newport High School, prom king, most popular, all this stuff." I was like, "Yeah, it's me." He goes, because he wasn't like me, man. I was a good kid, and I didn't get in much trouble in school. But anyway, that's passing that story up. He said, "Yeah, man, I teach a little bit of jujitsu. I can help you out." So I went down there, and he was 175 pounds, and me, I'm benching 400 pounds. I thought I was tough, and he just tied me up in a knot. And I was like, "You got to do this again. There's no way I'm gonna get you this time." And he once again, he's using my strength against me, taking my back. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just grabbing a hold of him and squeezing real tight, like white belts do when they first start.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I found, and then he had a newsletter, a Hickson Gracie newsletter out of Nashville because I lived in Nashville. And he goes, "Man, there's a guy named Eric Silver in Nashville, Tennessee, that teaches the Hickson Gracie style of jujitsu." And I said, "That's awesome." He gave me it, and I saw the number on it. I called him, and then I went there, and I still wasn't a believer for some reason. And about a couple guys, about 140 pounds, just tore me up. I said, "All right, I got to do this stuff." So I signed up for jiu-jitsu in 1998.
Dang.
Started training. I was a month away from my 28th birthday, and signed up for jiu-jitsu. It was changed my life.
Most definitely. It's definitely been wonderful for you. I think you got your own association out of it. So speaking of that, let's talk about how you built your own association and maybe some of the struggles you had with it.
Yeah. Okay. So building the association, I didn't even mean to do. It was an accident. I was really, I really started to do jujitsu just so I can, protect myself and take care of, I was working bouncing so in case somebody jumped on me, I could handle myself. I just, I don't know, man. I would go, and back then we was only training 3 days a week. We only had schools, that offered 3 days a week. But then I started getting really good at this stuff, and I started competing and winning all the time. And people were like starting to take notice of me. And then by the time I got my brown belt, I was under Master Lloyd Irvin, who gave me my brown and my black belt. He, I had a guy up in Ohio because I'd go visit my mom in northern Kentucky, and Ohio was right across the river. And I was just looking for a place maybe to go train, and I found a little school in Amelia, Ohio, and I went up to it, and there was a guy named Craig Wallace, who was a blue belt teaching jiu-jitsu. I was a purple belt at the time when I met him, and I went up, and he saw I had a purple belt on. I guess back then purple belts were a dime a dozen. It wasn't, or I'm sorry, not a dime. There wasn't many of them, and
Right.
I went ahead and started. I taught. I didn't teach class. They taught, and then I rolled with everybody. And after I rolled, I was nice to them, but I was beating them up pretty good. And Craig just every time I came home to visit, Craig would have me come over and teach. So then I get my brown belt, and these guys asked if they could go under me, and I was like, I don't know what that means. I was like, well, we need an instructor. I said, well, who gave you your belts? They said, well, Pedro Sauer, but we're so far away, and he's got so many affiliations. We just feel like we're getting lost in the cracks, and we want somebody that can be closer. I said, man, I've never done that. I can teach, but to have a team, I'm on Team Lloyd Irvin. So I hit up Lloyd and told him the story. And Lloyd said, Shorty, it's time for you to start your own thing. I said, what do you mean? He goes, start your own association. You need to come up with a good logo. He goes, I got your back. He goes, I'll promote any of your guys we need to promote. He goes, I said, all right. So that was my first affiliation. That would have been about 2006. And then I got my black belt. I won a couple pro division no-gi things back in the day. I won the no-gi pans. I won the Pan American Championships, and I've medaled 3 times at the world level, 2 bronze, 1 silver. And with all that happening, people would just hit me up and come visit and want to be on my team. So, like, I've never ever in my life asked anybody to be on my team. All of my affiliates have come to me. Um, I take pride in that. I don't go looking for people. I don't go hunting. I'm here, man. If they want to be on my team, fine. If they want to leave, that happens too. I've had, a couple people leave, and that actually came up under me. That, you know, when that happens, you just let them go. That's all you can do.
So I really like that you mentioned all that because I've really had so I'm very curious about that, especially from a coach's perspective. Take someone like yourself who's
Mm-hmm.
very accomplished in competition. Would you say, what you pretty much, or I feel like you just did, do you think that plays a role in getting people to want to come learn from you? Do you think that's important in starting your school?
Can you hear me,
Yeah, I can now.
Brett?
Yeah,
Can you hear me, doll?
yes.
Still frozen.
Oh no.
Goodness gracious.
Can you hear me now? You there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. You were breaking up on me through everything. So I heard you say that you were interested in that. And
Yes.
that's what I heard.
Okay, so I've been curious about hearing this from a coach's perspective. Do
Yes.
you feel like your accomplishments in competition and getting very decorated plays a role in getting people to want to come to learn from you and come to your school to train?
Yeah,
Do you feel like that's important?
I think the main reason is because of what I've accomplished is why they want to do that. And then, you get a reputation of just being a good guy and, don't shit on people. You know, just that's the way it is. I don't like drama. Hate that kind of shit. That shit, it'll follow you in almost anything you do as any kind of team, really. But yeah, so yeah, I think because of what I've done, which I only did this because I love jujitsu. I just started training and I was just got exceptionally kind of good at it, and I won some tournaments, and then people started taking notice after that.
Wonderful. And then you also have some very decorated students. For example, let's take Chewy and Chad Hardy.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
would you say goes into developing such high level competitors?
So competing's different than jujitsu. I don't want people to think that because they do jujitsu they have to compete. They don't. I compete because I love it, and I encourage people to compete because there's a certain kind of anxiety you get from competing. And if somebody jumps out in an alley and is going to whip your ass in a street fight, you're going to have anxiety too. I think when you compete, win or lose, you at least learn how to control anxiety if you compete a lot. I don't care if you win every match, if you lose every match, even if you're losing every match, you're still not going to lose in the street because people on the street don't know what you know. And, your level of anxiety, you can handle that. So that's why I like to compete. And I encourage my students to compete. But you can be a black belt on my team. I have several that don't compete. Probably 10 to 15% of my team competes. Everybody else is just, they're family people. They're working, just doing jiu-jitsu for either weight loss, health, or just for self-defense.
That's wonderful. I've never heard it put like that. I really like that answer. Controlling anxiety. I like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yep.
You mentioned family people. You yourself is a family man, got a
Yeah.
lovely wife and some great kids. Let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about how to balance life between family, your working, and jiu-jitsu, plus your music career. That's a lot going on, dude.
Yeah, I'm a jack of all trade, master of none.
100%, dude.
I do a lot of stuff. But yeah, so in the beginning it was crazy. I wasn't married to my wife. We were engaged. We got married in '99. I started jiu-jitsu in '98. But then when we got married, so what happened was I was so busy. So I was bouncing at nights, working a day job, doing jiu-jitsu at night. I was trying to personal train. So I had a lot of stuff going on. And my wife came to me. She goes, I don't know what you look like anymore because I don't ever get to see you. So I kind of gave up the bouncing. I started giving up a few different things. I got a record deal in 2008 in music, and that slowed the jiu-jitsu down for a good 3 to 4 months while I was doing radio tours and visiting radio stations. And it was funny. I asked Master Lord, I wanted to compete in 2008 at the Pans. He goes, Shorty, you got a career now. He goes, you got a record deal. You got to work on your stuff. You can't compete. He goes, you ain't got time. And, he's right. If I want to compete and win, you have to train. You have to train to win, right? And so I kind of sat out about that time, about 2008. But getting back to my wife, I ended up turning jiu-jitsu into my job so I could keep doing it. I was lucky enough to have one of my best friends, Ed Clay, who started Nashville Mixed Martial Arts Academy. I got Ed into jiu-jitsu when he was 15 years old. I started him out and then took him to Eric Silvers, who was my first instructor. And then so he had Nashville MMA. We had a with a black belt that Ed had a problem with. I had to get rid of him, and he hired me as a purple belt to teach jiu-jitsu full time. And I was like, I don't know about that, Ed. I'm a purple belt. He goes, nope. The marketing we're going to do doesn't matter. I said, okay. and built a big, strong team in Nashville called Nashville Mixed Martial Arts Academy. So pretty much how I balanced it was I turned it into my job. I sometimes wonder how other people balance it if they train all the time and they have wife and kids. Um, but that's how I did it.
Awesome. That's a good game plan. I feel like that's a lot of people's goals anymore is to be able to do that.
Yeah.
One could say you're living the dream.
Yeah, man, I have. I've been very blessed. I had a record deal that went south because I'm too country for radio. Country music is kind of turning a little hip hop poppy, and I'm not that. So I'd rather not have a record deal. But I do have a bluegrass deal now almost. Well, I have an album cut. We have labels interested in it now. And it's
Awesome.
probably some of the best stuff I've ever did in my life. But yeah, that's crazy, man. People's like, would you rather do jujitsu or music? And my first love is music. I would do it over jujitsu if I had to, but I don't. I can have both, so I'm excited about that. But jujitsu is one of my loves. I love to see people get better, and that's the thing is when I teach, seeing people get better, seeing somebody under you win a big tournament, you're like, oh, and like I get more nervous when my students fight than when I fight. If I compete, I know what I'm going to try to do out there. I got a game plan. But when my students compete, especially blue belts, and I'm just like nervous wreck. Are they going to mess up? What are they going to do? Oh my god! Oh my god! So it's fun.
Absolutely. But man, see, I love that because not many people come on explain that, yeah, you can have more than two loves. You gotta know how to do it though. You gotta know it's worth it to you. Oh no. Shawn, is you there? Lost him a little bit.
Stay there, baby.
Yeah, there we
Oh,
go.
yeah, it went away. It went away. I'm about to park here in a second, and then I'll be in a
Got you.
spot. I'm sorry.
No,
Uh,
man, you're fine.
oh god. Oh man, that's funny. So how's your jujitsu been?
Oh, it's, been going. It's
Yeah.
a struggle life.
Hmm. Yeah. You guys got a good team up there where you guys are at. It's fun to
Appreciate that.
it's fun to watch Facebook and then see my friends out there, tearing it up in jujitsu and stuff. It's good stuff because I have my family, I have my jujitsu family, and then I have a jujitsu family outside of my team. Like I'm friends with a lot of other teams
For
and pretty
sure.
close with.
Technical issues.
You there, babe? Okay.
Yep, we're good. Maybe not. See if we can get Shawn back. Maybe. It's trying. I think he lost service there a little bit. We'll see. We'll give Shawn a minute to try to get back in here. Shawnee there. Hopefully he'll get service again soon.
Aha.
Ah,
Now I have internet.
sweet.
For some reason, you sound like an alien.
Alien. I
There
don't
you
like
go. Oh
that.
yeah, it's kind of like it was like sound like a radio. And I was like, oh goodness. All right, I'm sorry. I'm back. I'm trying to
Sweet.
figure out how to get you away from the light.
That struggle though.
Goodness gracious. All right. There we go.
You good now?
Oh yeah, I think so. Man, I'm so sorry.
No, man, you're good. It's all good.
So, what else we got?
Anywho, you had mentioned friends outside of jiu-jitsu and
Mm-hmm.
outside your team. That actually brings me to my next question for you. I hear a lot of lower belts ask about this, and I'd like to hear from your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a two-part question. Part
Okay.
one would be, what does loyalty mean to you in terms of jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, man, I've been loyal to my coach, um, and I'll die as a Lloyd Irvin black belt. I'm very big on loyalty, unless somebody, if you know, if your coach gives you a reason not to be loyal, and that can happen. Like if there's something that you've promised him that you didn't pull through, and he wants to go somewhere else. I don't promise people anything. I just train them and teach them. I'll tell them the truth, and sometimes my truth, hurts a lot of people. I've had young kids come and tell me, and girls, guys and girls, I want to be a world champion. I said, do you have a girlfriend? Yeah, get rid of her now. Same with my girl students. I said, you got a boyfriend? Get rid of them. The thing about being a world champion in jiu-jitsu is a full-time thing. It's not something you just casually do, especially as you get to the black belt levels. These guys have done this all their lives to get to this position. If a girl wants you to go to a little party with her instead of go to jiu-jitsu, you might as well just don't worry about being a world champion. That's okay. I'm just going to tell you straight up, get rid of baggage so you can train. To be a world champion, you don't train casually. You train 2-3 times a day, 5-6 days a week. You're taking supplements. You're taking all of the stuff you need to take to stay healthy and stay injury free. So a lot of people don't like, and I tell them straight up. Some of them be like, "Whoa, we can't do that." I said, "Well, then it's okay to be good at jujitsu, but being a world champion, especially when you're talking about the adult level is extremely, extremely hard to win. I mean, Masters is too once you get up there because you're fighting all the old guys that were champions when they were young, especially the Brazilians. I fought tons of them, but to be a world champion at adult level is really hard to do. Like it's usually your black belts that come out of your kids program usually end up being some of your adult world champions.
So that's a wonderful answer. And part two for this would be, I hear a lot of people go on about, well, this person cross trains are not loyal. Do you feel like loyalty applies in that way? Or to what degree do you feel like it's unloyal to cross train, if any?
Oh, here's my thing on cross training. I don't mind. Here's my thing with cross training. Period. I've never told my guys they can't because I believe my jujitsu is strong enough that people go cross train, they're coming back, and I don't lose many people from cross training at all. Now, if you have a rival team that has guys in your division, um, we don't cross train. We won't cross train if there's a guy at a school that we know we're going to fight and is probably somebody that's going to be up and comer that we're going to have to beat up. So we will not cross train with them. We don't need them knowing our game. We don't need them feeling our movements at all. But like my regular guys that don't compete, they can cross train. We cross train any way they want. But I can see some students don't like it, or some instructors don't like it at all. And I agree with them too. I can't not agree with them that you're helping their team get better when you train with them. And that's a big thing I get. And I'm like, it just depends. I'm not going to go help their world champions get better because I'm not going to train with them guys. So it's it's kind of a double-edged sword because it doesn't bother me as much. Some of my other black belts really get mad when they see some of my other guys go cross train, and I understand it. But what can I do, man? They're grown ass people sometimes, you know.
That's true, but like for me, I like hearing perspectives from all over. So I
Mm-hmm.
haven't quite heard it like that, but when you put it
Mm-hmm.
like that, it does make a lot of sense because say you do go to a rival gym and you're training with that person, and what happens a month down the road and you're in the same division as them.
Mm-hmm. That's the only thing you got to be careful of, man. Like, I've never cross trained with somebody I know I'm going to have to beat up in a tournament. I've had opportunities. I was like, no, I'll see him at the tournament because I don't want nobody to know what I do. You know, what now? It's hard to hide because of YouTube. People put every time you have a match, they put it on YouTube. Many, and all of a sudden you're on YouTube. And, so you can look up almost any competitive black belt on YouTube and find out what he likes to play.
Yeah.
If you don't see somebody on YouTube, it means they don't compete much. It might be their first competition. But if you see video after video after video of, like me, Joe Bays, your guy, he's at Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, anybody that's good in jiu-jitsu has video out there now.
That's true, especially at this day and age, which,
Yeah.
back then it wasn't as common, but also there's a lot of differences between back then and now. And you
Mm-hmm.
had actually mentioned earlier about back then you didn't see a whole lot of jiu-jitsu schools in this region.
No, no,
So for
man. So
you,
it's funny, when I first started in '98, there was three tournaments. One was in Louisville, Kentucky. It was Alan Maganello's, the Bluegrass Open. One was in Knoxville, Maryville, Brad Hatcher's tournament. And did I say there was three?
that was what you
Can't think of
said.
the third one. I think there was only two. And
Yeah,
that's the ones we'd go to. We just go back and forth to them tournaments.
it's
So
crazy
there
to
wasn't a
think
lot.
that.
There wasn't a lot of schools. Yeah. We were the only big school in Nashville for a long time. Like, there was no jiu-jitsu school here but us.
It's wild to me.
It's crazy. You guys are so spoiled now. You walk into a
You're
gym, you'll
right.
have 5 or 6 black belts. And I'm like, oh, when I started, I had a blue belt teaching, then he got his purple and then I got my blue. Then he got his brown and I got my purple. And that's the way it was. And then finally we got us a black belt. And I was like, yeah. And he helped us Professor Luis Palares. It's one of my best friends and I love. And he taught me a lot of jiu-jitsu for a while there in the mid 2000s, 2001, 2, and 3, early 2000s.
That's awesome, dude. That's a really good competitor too. That's
Yeah. Yeah, he's the one that got me competing in the beginning. Luis, he used to take me around. I was his golden child. He'd take me to Atlanta, and I'd be fighting all of Jacare's killers. I'm an old guy, like, compared to them. I remember fighting Tarsus Humphreys when I was 36 years old.
dang.
Tarsus was a 23, 24-year-old killer, And it was funny because I had a tough match with him. It was in the semifinals or finals. I think it was the finals. It was, and it was a good battle, man. And I made one mistake, and he caught me. And it was funny because everybody knows Jacare, Jacare from Atlanta, the old guy. And he come up to me, goes, Shawn, you fight anybody. He goes, you're one of my favorite people. He goes, you're the only one to fight all my guys in Atlanta. Because I was the one fighting all them guys from Atlanta. Chris Moriarty to all them cats, Tarsus Humphreys. It was fun.
No fear.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
Shawn, Anyone that knows you and has seen your association out at competitions or even just pictures of training knows that you all do a lot in the gi. So for you, what would you say the importance of the gi is? Because now you see tons of people who won't even touch a gi.
Yeah. It's all about grips. It's the gi's harder. That's why. I mean, it's just harder. You can, I can take a world class wrestler, put him in a gi, and then I can slow him down, and people don't like that. It's a more technical aspect. Now, no gi, man, I did that first. And I won the no-gi pans 2009, won a bunch of pro divisions doing no-gi because I had such good wrestling from training with a ton of wrestlers. And my top game was so good. I had, good jiu-jitsu there. So the no-gi is very technical too, especially when you get into the leg game. A lot of my friends that do the leg stuff, man, there's a science to that. It's angles, it's move. I mean, it's just like jiu-jitsu, positioning to me is position yourself on the legs to finish the fight. And I'm not known as a leg guy. I've won maybe one or two matches ever with a leg lock. Most of them, me, is I pass the guard and I attack. Try to, my game plan is to choke, find chokes, looking for the back a lot, and then just I'm a smasher. That's what I like to do. But also, the no-gi aspect is getting pretty technical now with the legs, just keeping people off your legs and learning how to play low and not be nervous. What happens is if somebody's a really good leg lock guy, most people, they get nervous when they get on the mat if they're not versed in it. I do not give a shit because I'm pretty good at keeping people off my legs if I want to. And when I train in training, and I train with some of my leg guys, they get to them because I'm trying some new stuff. But if it was a match and I knew that guy was a leg lock guy, I know exactly what I'm going to try to do to not get leg locked. But man, no gi and gi, I think they're both extremely important. And I think you should do both.
A great answer. I love that.
Yeah. People are going to gravitate to what they feel comfortable with, though.
True. So, Shawn, I think that's all the questions I had for you, buddy. I
Awesome,
really
dog.
enjoyed it.
Well, thanks. I'm sorry we ran into a bunch of glitches. I hope everybody had a good time
It's all
and
good, man.
enjoyed it.
I enjoyed
Whoever
talking
won.
with you.
Yeah, that was good. Good to see you. Tell Joe I love him.
Always.
All right. Bye, baby. Take care.
Bye bye.
Thanks, honey. Bye-bye.
For sure.